Hey guys, this is Brandon at The Edge Pro. This is going to be part 2 of doing some standard tune-up tools, basic maintenance, keeping our tools fresh and running at their most efficient. Today we're going to be talking about the Wahl Cordless Magic Clip. This is going to be the same for several of the cordless clippers from Wahl, and it's just going to be something that's going to help us get the most efficient stroke out of our blade and give us the best cutting out of our clipper and keep us in business, getting people in and out of their chairs as fast as they can. So we're going to head on over and look at this clipper a little bit closer. Alright, so we're over here at the workstation, and in part 1 we talked about the cordless outliner, and we talked about replacing the cam follower in it and how that affects the stroke of our blade. We're going to talk about the same thing. This is the cam follower here, and we're going to talk about that in the Cordless Magic Clip. A little bit more difficult to get to this part in this clipper, but we're going to show you how to do it right here. I still recommend you guys utilize your sharpener and repairman in your local area, or woman for that matter. Hopefully they've done some training and are going to have a really good idea of everything that's going on in this clipper, and they're going to look for things outside of just this area. But this is something that you can do to make sure that your clippers are running as good as they can be in between those bigger service times when you're getting those blades sharpened or having to get a more major repair done. So the first thing we're going to do to be able to get to that part is we're going to take off the blade, and so that is these two screws here. Alright, so the comb blade comes off pretty quick and easy here. Something that's going to save you a headache is make sure that your clipper is set to the shortest setting when you take this apart. I'll show you why here in a minute. We're going to take our cutter blade off. This little tab down here, when we have it in the shortest setting, that tab stays covered up, and that lessens the risk of this flying across the room, because underneath this is our tension spring that applies tension to the blade for us, that helps it to cut. So now now that I'm ready to take this out, I'm gonna move this down, but I'm keeping my finger over it to keep it from flying. We're just gonna pry it up, should come up pretty gently, and then we're able to get to it. This clipper has very little wear on it, so it's not a good example of what can happen, but just like in the cordless outliner, we have just that metal rod that's on the front of the motor. It's what's driving the blade back and forth, and what happens is that rod moves in a circular motion, but the slot that it slides into is just straight, and over time it starts to egg out a hole in there, which is going to affect our stroke. It's going to be a lot shorter stroke. We're not going to get a big full stroke out of our blade, and so it's going to start pulling hair, or it's going to start taking multiple passes to get a nice crisp cut, and in the middle of a fade or something along those lines, you don't have a lot of space to do a lot of passes. If we mess up on one pass, it can ruin your whole fade. So we want to make sure that we're staying on top of this repair. So here's a new one. Again, it's a really simple repair, just like our last one. This one might be a little bit easier. What we want to do is make sure that these two springs go into those two slots, just like that. And then putting pressure downward so that this part up here slides into this little guide area. So when it's running, it stays running in that guide area. As soon as I put it in there, I moved this arm up to hold it into place for me. Now we're going to put the blade back on. Putting the blade back on these clippers is an important thing to make sure that you get it set safely and correctly. In electromagnetic clippers, we've talked about that in another video. If you go look at our series on the Andis Master, it talks about how to set a blade in an electromagnetic clipper. All cordless clippers are rotary motor clippers. So it's not going to be the exact same process here, because the blade isn't going to end in the same spot like it does on an electromagnetic. On a cordless clipper, with a rotary motor tool, it's going to end wherever the armature decides to end at. And so that could be left, middle, right, could be anywhere. So a quick way to be able to tell how our blade is set side to side is we're going to turn it on and put our fingers on both edges of it, and we should feel it hitting both our thumb and our index finger the same amount on both sides. So that's one area that we're looking for set. The next area is we want to make sure we have a safe tool, and so we're going to crack these screws loose. That allows us to move it and we want to make sure that we have a setback up here and that this cutter is not sticking out past the comb. If that cutter sticks out past the comb, you run the risk of being able to cut anybody very, very easily. So you want to set that, and it's going to be set to your touch usually. This clipper can be zero gapped. I'm all for the zero gap. It really does help with haircuts. I just want to make sure that we're setting it in a way that meets you what your touch is. If you have a heavier touch, you can have a little bit further back setback. It doesn't need to be a straight zero gap. Once you get your set, we're going to go ahead and tighten down those screws, and you finished up that repair. I hope this is helpful for you. It really is going to make a difference in your clippers. Your clippers are going to run quieter. There's going to be less vibration in your hands. You're going to get the most out of your blades, and it's going to be the most efficient. So the idea would be is that you're going to have customers in and out of your chair more often and more quickly, and hopefully that translates into more success in your business. If there's something that you have any ideas, the things that we can talk about and help you out with, we want to partner with your business. Let us know how we can do that, and we'll be happy to keep putting out more content. Give us a thumbs up if this has been helpful. Let us know what you think, and with that, we appreciate you and your time with us, and we'll see you next time.